Mother's Day is right around the
Mother's
corner,
Day.
Ed. Mother's Day. Shout out to all the moms, especially
Stacy's mom.
yeah, she's got it going on.
Apparently.
That's for sure.
We still don't know if Stacy's mom, one, either really slept with him or who was going after who. So
right,
we're gonna have to get back to that at some point.
Right. A lot of theories around that.
Welcome to Guys Fishing Weekly. We don't just fish, we hook.
What's up, fellow fishing buddies? Welcome to this week's episode of Guys Fishing Weekly, where Reid and I are catching up about last week's trip to the Arkansas River outside of Nathrop, Colorado. We stayed at the Silver Trout Lodge, and they were phenomenal accommodations. We highly recommend checking them out if you're looking for a place to stay up in that part of Colorado. Then we're going over 5 things that you can do today to help out fellow men and fishermen have better lives. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we are trying to spread the word to help out fellow men, especially those who are struggling on their own. We then hop into a mental construct we call 10-80-10, which will help you get through the lows of the year as well as relish a little bit more in the highs. We also give you the reminder that this week is Mother's Day and that you need to go out and buy those presents and write those cards. We then also take a moment to celebrate what we admire most about our moms and just give a little bit of thanks. So with that, let's get into it. Hit it.
Are we going? Hey, Ed.
What are you doing?
Chilling, man. I'm chilling, getting ready for the week ahead.
Yes. There's not so many weeks ahead left on this weeks ahead preparation.
Rectamundo. The energies and efforts are in keeping my high schoolers engaged. Strong finishes. You just had senior prom, which went off great. Everybody's good, safe, nothing. They had a good time, so pleased with that. Yeah, so good stuff there.
It's awesome. Did you go chaperone?
Highlights. No, I didn't. I did go. They meet up at this park in Denver, and all the high schools around apparently are doing that now. And so they go to this big giant park for pictures beforehand. So Karen and I went down there and did pictures. Glad I went down there. My daughter and her crew of like 20 people. And then my son. So I had, junior prom, senior prom. So it's good. Yeah.
Big stretch Hummer limos and
exciting time. They do these party buses now. Like nobody even does limos anymore. It's like these party bus things. Neither one of my kids ended up doing party buses, so that was good. But yeah,
where did they host it this year?
It was in downtown Denver at a venue down there. So they had dinner down there. I don't even know the name of the place. So, but it was good. And then after prom at the main event place that has bowling and laser tag and stuff. So good stuff. Yeah, they had a blast.
It's awesome.
Yeah, those are the nights where you just get home safely. Just get home.
Oh, for sure. I can only imagine just thinking back to the prom days. Just
yeah. That sense of worry as a parent of teenagers is real.
That's got to be high up the list.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, everybody's home safe. Good stuff. Recouping. After late night, so it was good. Good stuff.
Nice.
How about you? What's on the home front for you?
So I'm on phase 2 of the deck project right now. I'm trying to get some basically foundations built with cinder blocks and gravel and stuff like that. It's not that big of a foundation, but just building up kind of 2 steps to get down to the lawn from it and kind of level everything out. make it flat and have a little bit of a drainage to it. But moving 40-pound concrete brick units is not awesome.
Get your workout in. That'll get you ready to run a marathon.
That's right. That's right. if I'm running with my arms, maybe.
Right?
But
navigating. That's what you're navigating. Navigating the death build.
So, but it's coming together. It'll be nice when it's done. Hopefully it'll only take as long as it takes to get that stuff delivered, dropped off in the driveway, and towed it around in a wheelbarrow. And then we'll be hosting backyard barbecues and parties and all that fun stuff.
Sweet.
Maybe I'll throw my own prom this summer.
The Eddie B. Adult prom. Backyard. Red Solo Cup Central, baby.
That's right.
Nice.
So that's my world right now, and just looking forward to the next fishing adventure.
Right on. Well, we just had a goodie.
We did. We have to absorb that one, I guess, before we can just launch into the next one.
I say screw it. Let's launch. I'm all in. I'm ready.
What was your favorite part of our trip last week?
It was different in the realm that there were only 4 of us. We haven't had that few in quite a while.
Yeah.
We usually have 6, so it's only 2 less, but it changed it. It was different. I think the best part for me was I haven't fished the Arkansas in a while, that river. And so the adventure of exploring new spots on that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think, you know me, I am a streamer lover. I love ripping streamers, and feeling those giant poles and big tugs and hooking fish on streamers. And so that was awesome. I thought that was really good. And we found some great water, some really good spots. And so I think for me, that was really good. That was fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's unfortunate they clearly released some water on us plus the rain, but the first 2 days were awesome.
I think there's, we got washed out on, and I'll tell you this though, even when we went exploring on Saturday, when they were blowing the river out, when they released water and we were up, we had such fun. We had a great time. And I think part of the adventurous side of a trip like that is you jumped on trout routes, found, this road off, we drove a half hour, whatever. And then you found a place, we turned on this dirt road and we're going and found easements and public land and exploring. And, we jumped out of the car, we went and looked at stretches of the river, jumped back in the car, drove down a little bit. That kind of exploration in a new place never gets old. Even though we knew it was going to be a tall order because the river was much higher and there was lots of debris and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But still, like, we were hanging out on those giant cliffs looking down on the river like, ooh, that would be a good old, ooh, that, that was super fun. And then, of course, we went essentially rock climbing, you and I did, over when we went down to a couple of those spots and ended up, crawling over all kinds of boulders and rocks and stuff. That stuff never gets old, even at,
No.
even at 56. I love those kinds of fishing days. Even though we got blanked and the river was garbage, it was still so much fun doing that kind of stuff.
For sure. I mean, it's hard now to find a place where it doesn't feel like anybody's ever been before. And clearly, right, on something like the Arkansas, every inch of that has been mapped probably by somebody.
Right.
And so it was a bit unique, I guess, in a way, to find spots using, trout routes and driving into some different places. That was, that makes it a lot more fun, trying to find something that feels like your own little piece of paradise in a way.
Right. Yeah. And then when you're hanging out and the fish aren't biting, it always lends to good laughter, and the jokes start flying, and the camaraderie really builds there. So that actually was one of my favorite parts of it, just being together on the river, even though fish weren't happening. That was fun. Yeah, and it's always good when you bust out the drone too, because that always scares the crap out of people. So that's good.
Well, this time it wasn't letting me fly as far away to scare people, which I'm unfortunately.
Nothing better than watching your pops like,
like it's some swarm of African hornets or something that's coming to just.
Or it sounds like too. So good.
I love bouldering and stuff like that. I mean, that was a great time to be just climbing over. You saw a snake that almost made you jump in the river.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So we saw.
I loved your approach to the snake. You're just like, well, I don't want to I was like, get it, bump it in the river. Use your rod, knock it. You're like, I don't want to do that. That's not very cool.
the river would have
drowned.
The river was howling, so the snake was not long for this world had I done that at that moment.
You're just like, it's just a snake, dude. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. I'm like, screw that, drown the snake. I hate snakes. But we didn't. We didn't
drown a snake.
Nope.
It was alive. I think it was cold.
Yeah. It was probably paralyzed
It barely wanted to move.
Yeah.
I was like, I shouldn't have woken out of hibernation yet. That's kind of what it seemed like.
Yeah, for sure. But that was great. I was within 3 feet of that sucker.
That's a big step.
Conquering.
You can take that back to your fear guide. And see, let them know you conquered a fear.
I did. I don't know if I've conquered it, but it definitely took a step in the right direction.
That's right.
I'm still not comfortable, but yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be.
You gotta take small wins where you can.
That's right. Absolutely. What was your favorite part of the trip?
My favorite part, one, I like obviously the hanging out, just chatting and catching up. Coffees in the morning, coming down. What I really love though is that anticipation of getting to the water. Like you were saying, peeking around, looking over the edge, seeing, this would be a good spot. This would be a good spot. And since I had control of the keys on this trip, I got to dictate where we stopped against some other people's opinions. I don't know if I'll say better opinions, but just other people's opinions. And it turned out to work all right.
I thought it turned out great. I'm not gonna lie. I had a great day.
But yeah, exploring the riverbank and trying to figure. I mean, everywhere on that river, even when it was high, was like, oh, that's tasty. Oh, that's tasty. Oh, we could definitely catch something there.
A common term used to describe good water. That's tasty.
So it was a fun trip.
It was great, even though we got washed out. And I'll tell you that was the other thing too. You mentioned the socializing and the hanging out stuff. We got to do so much more of that just because with 4 you can't play cards. So all that card time came down to watching the Nuggets and the Avs and hanging out, and that was good.
Well,
that was some good times together.
And on top of that, I mean, it also didn't make sense to be on the water at 6 a.m. when it's 35 degrees out when the sun comes up.
Correct. Let that water warm up. So we weren't in a hurry to get out. So we had some mornings together too. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Got some good conversations on the water too. Spent a lot of time with Robbie, watching Rob get all amped up and excited for cliff swallows. And
That video is one of my favorites that I've ever done. And we'll probably be posting that one at some point. Sob, the, environmental nerd he is, cliff swallows flying around like bats.
Yeah.
Just in
You would've-
clouds. It was crazy.
you would have thought that he was Batman in like the Dark Knight when he's fighting his fear of bats and standing up and all the swallows flying around him.
It was crazy. Yeah, that was
It was
crazy. I'd never seen anything like that, so it was cool. Yeah, we got to post those for sure, though.
We'll get him up. So speaking of posts, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Obviously, something we care a lot about here at
A lot.
GFW.
Yep, a lot.
And we posted this week kind of 5 tips to be a better fishing buddy. I figure we should run through and get them out there. I think it's fair to say that these aren't just kind of tips that work well for being a fishing buddy. I think it's more being just a better friend during the day.
Right.
First one is help them celebrate their wins. I think this is crucial just in the sense that we often go through life, thinking a little win here or there isn't that big of a deal. It's just kind of another thing. And being a buddy that can help somebody see that it's more than just that is huge.
Yeah, I think that it's amazing. And when we first talked about that or put that out, and the first thing that I thought of was, as a parent, the number of times you say no to your kid versus the number of times you give them some positive kudos. And all of the data talks about, right, that you do that so much more. And so that's where my mind went, was that idea of, even in adulthood, we tend to push the wins, no matter how small they are, just kind of under the rug. It's nothing grandiose, so it doesn't deserve celebration. And I think those messages need to be changed for our mental wellness, especially now. I think that little wins are awesome. And when you can celebrate them and the joy of them, because of all, the responsibility and all the things that tend to pile on you, those are the things that bring smiles to your face, So yeah, I agree with you. Crucial is a great word to describe it in terms of value and being a better friend, companion, whatever. It's super important.
It is like you say, it's interesting. So much of the mental health stuff that goes on in your head is a lot of self-talk. And we do learn a lot of that self-talk from, like you said, your parents telling you no or bad, or, not teaching you to be, basking in the celebration of the things you do right. Since we're always trying to keep ourselves on the right path. And so we whip ourselves or admonish ourselves whenever we do something wrong in an effort to keep us on the straight and narrow. I mean, I know something I personally struggle with is a lot of negative self-talk. Something I'm working on in general, getting through, and I'm guessing it'll be a battle I deal with until the day I die. But I think it
sure will.
But the more you can work towards, celebrating the positive rather than sitting in the negative is better.
Yeah, that shift is huge.
And so just being a friend who does that and tries to help shine the light on those things that should be looked at in a positive way is a great thing to have in your life.
Yeah. And I noticed those things too, like this last trip when we were out on the river and we're fishing streamers, and constantly you and Rob were into the talk like, I don't know how to fish streamers very well. I'm like, you fish streamers just fine. You just hooked that beautiful fish and brought it into your net. You can fish streamers just fine. So yeah, being the guy that can like bump you up when you're that negative self-talk takes over.
Right.
Those are the people you want around you, right? That's huge.
Yep. All right, number 2 was check in regularly. So I think this one's important. I think often, especially with social media, I mean, you post a picture on social media or video or whatever, people think that they're like fully up to date with your life, or you're fully up to date with whoever else's life you're looking at. And on the other side of that is somebody who possibly wants attention or just like being noticed or whatever. And so the act of actually just reaching out, even if once you see that video, maybe even going beyond just I heard the term, the lazy like. It's more of a business term, but like the lazy like on someone's post where, that seems like it's enough to make somebody aware of you seeing that, going above and beyond to reach out, send an email, send a text, make a phone call saying like, hey man, I saw your post on, going deep sea fishing. How was that? Hope you're having a good time, whatever. I think that's so crucial to just life and feeling seen.
Yeah. And it's so easy. I know I struggle with getting locked into all the things that I have to do in my world that I forget to do those little things. It's much easier to just, oh yeah, I saw that post. They're doing great, and pass it over because I'm so locked into whatever I'm doing or whatever I got going on in my life. And there's so much time in the day for me to be able to do that a lot easier. It takes such minimal time and means so much to the person on the other end.
Right.
I can't tell you, right? When you get one of those texts thinking about you out of the blue from somebody you hadn't heard from in a little bit, means the world. It means the world, right? And that whole concept of being seen brings with it the idea that you add value to somewhere. And that's the important piece. We all want to feel like we add value to something. And so when you do that, you're letting that person know, yeah, you bring value to me. There's value in this, and I see you. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it takes such little. It's not a huge thing you have to do, So it's great.
Yep. And I think being seen is just an important part of life, especially as you get older and maybe you lose your parents, or even to the point where maybe your parents have got dementia or something along those lines, and they no longer can, see you. It's a pretty debilitating feeling for people because so much of their life has been seen, by their parents. And that's kind of the innate feeling I think that we're all looking for, is like being seen by, and that sort of a level of love. Not that you can give that to everybody, but that's kind of where that desire to feel seen is coming from, I think.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think about, unfortunately, I've been through one, but I think about in schools and, on the unfortunate side of the violence that happens from these teenage kids in schools is mostly because they feel unseen.
Right.
Almost always that stems from, so much deeper variables, but part of that whole thing is kids don't feel seen. And so the only way to get seen is to do something drastic. And I think that, man, why isn't more things to help people understand, young people understand and deal, why isn't that part of the education system?
Right.
I really do. And it's hard because I still see kids sitting alone at lunch, kids walking the halls alone at lunch with their heads down, and it's all because they don't feel seen. So it's huge, man. It's really, really an important thing.
I think on the other end of it all, if you're on the receiving end of being seen, I think it really is important to take a moment to accept being seen, or, accept the person reaching out. Don't just kind of wash it under the rug or whatever. Really try and soak that in and know, one, that it probably took that person a little extra effort, or maybe even a lot of effort, to even reach out in the first place. But also, just, especially men, I think it's hard for us to just accept love or accept a compliment or accept whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so actually making the active effort to feel seen on your end, of allowing yourself to be seen.
Great point. We suck at that.
Thanks for the follow-up.
Bottom line, we do. We suck at it, so we need to practice it and work at it for sure. It's not just a one-way thing. You have to, right? Yeah, you have to learn how to take that, and it's tough. It's not always easy, but I think there's certainly value in it, right? Makes it much better. So,
number 3, listen to what they're navigating.
That's probably my favorite of the 3.
It's definitely, I mean, since you brought up that a couple weeks ago, it's definitely something I've thought a lot more about, that framing of navigation. You don't want to get in a complaining loop where you're listening to somebody just complain all the time, but you also want to kind of push people into a position where they are kind of sharing and walking through the things that they're struggling with out loud. And I don't think you have to always get somebody into the zone of telling yourself the deepest, darkest thing that's going on. I mean, it could be me laying, concrete blocks in my backyard and you hearing me out and just being like, yeah, dude, I got nothing for you. That sucks. So when you're done with that, it'll be awesome. But until then, you just got to do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to be depressing, sad, all that stuff, right? What are you navigating? Can be fun stuff as well. And I think why it's my favorite is the idea of listening. The idea of really listening to someone. And, going back to the last one about feeling seen, that's part of the process. When you listen and truly listen to someone and what they have to say and what they're going through or what they need or what they want to celebrate or what they want to share. Listening makes that person feel seen and heard. And that's the idea. I keep going back to like parenting and my middle schoolers. You can say something 3 times and they don't hear anything because they don't listen. And there's a real difference. They heard me, but they didn't listen, right? And kids do, my own kids do that all the time. I know they heard me, but did they listen? And so there's a real difference in that. But when it's meaningful and, when you're listening, truly listening to someone, it brings meaning and value to them too. And so that's a great one. And I think that's why I like that one so much, because there's nothing more frustrating than when you speak and nobody's listening and you know it. And you're just like, do I exist? Hello.
Right.
So listening is such an important part of any relationship.
100%.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
4, this one's a tricky one. Encourage professional help. A lot of times men struggle with this almost being a situation where you're admitting that you're weak when you go and find professional help. And I think it truly is the exact opposite. I think it's admitting that you're ready to get stronger and that you're ready to work on, the mental strength side of things, not just the physical strength that we're so attuned to typically jumping into. A lot of things you can't help as a friend or a spouse or whatever, that you have to encourage them to go and see somebody that is trained in helping people through certain things. And also that comes with just the encouragement of that, and letting them know that if they go, you're still gonna love them no matter what, and that it's not weak. In fact, you become a better friend for it.
Right. I think about men. I don't, not to offend, but I think about the ineptness when it comes to something like this, right? Because of the messages we've been told our whole lives, like man up. It's hard to man up when you don't know how. So, with mental wellness, you hear all the time, like I'm inundated with information about, mental wellness is important. Mental wellness this, mental wellness is that. The statistics are showing how, mental health is an issue with young people and in adults too. But what does good mental health look like? I don't have the tools. And so that's where the professional comes in and can be super helpful, and it's not necessarily, as your friend. Yeah. If you're really struggling with something, I can only give you so much because I don't know either. But when it comes to the psychology of things, and if it's, then go see a therapist that's helpful. But there's also like life coaching. There's coaches out there that it doesn't have to be necessarily something that's dismal or hardcore, because there's a lot of men are like, oh, I'm fine. I'm not like depressed. I'm not sad. But maybe there are some other things in your life that you could do really a lot better with, but I don't have the tools. I don't know what that looks like. What does meditation look like? What does eating well look like? I don't know. I can read a bunch of stuff on it, but that takes a lot of time, so in talking with somebody, maybe. So I think about it too, in terms of, I just don't have the tools to manage a lot of that stuff. And so that's what a professional can provide for me. Strategies, tools, things that I can use to help me get better mental state, whatever. So it's huge. Yeah. And I think it doesn't always, we always think, oh God, I got to go see a therapist. That means there's something wrong with me. I'm really, and it's not
Right.
at all like that. And it doesn't have to be a forever thing either. I think people also think about that too. Like, oh, if I go see a therapist, I'm gonna have to do it the rest of my life. And
Right.
yeah, I think it can be something that you lean on when you need it.
Yep.
So
I mean, I've been to therapy on 4 different situations in my life, and none of them have ever been a permanent thing. They've always been something that you go in and you work on some, you pick up some tools and strategies to address the issue, and you move on. It could be a permanent thing, and there's a lot of benefit to something being permanent for sure. But the hardest part of it for me is admitting, like, all right, I do need help with this. I think the first consultation, or whatever you want to call it, appointment, is always the hardest. And once you let that guard down on that, it's such a important space to work on stuff, throw stuff out. A lot of it is just, in a lot of ways, just getting it out of your own head.
right.
And because you spin it around so many different ways, and you don't really know what's real. But
Right.
getting a little off track, I think at the end of the day, encouraging others to go and tell them that you'll be there by their side through it is huge.
Absolutely. Support.
Yep.
Right. We need supportive people around us.
5, the last one, the most important probably, is is invite them to go fishing. I think this goes beyond fishing, but since we like fishing, we're going to talk fishing. I think inviting your friends out into nature with you is huge. Nature has just a crazy way of healing and getting you out of the rut of just everyday life. And in a lot of ways, getting out into nature by yourself is scary, especially if you don't do it on your own. It's a place that is very intimidating. And so having somebody show you the good ways to do and get out in nature and how to catch fish on streamers instead of laughing at us all day is important.
Absolutely. I can tell you, I have, friends that fish. I have friends that don't know anything about fishing. And I can't tell you how many people have said to me, like, oh, I'd love to go fishing. I'd love to learn how to fly fish. And I have gear. You're right. Like, and I took one of my buddies out fishing one day, and it was so much fun watching just him learn, practice, ask me questions. It was different from any fishing experience that I'd had. And it wasn't like I was just standing next to him instructing him. He was the kind of dude that's like, just give me the shit and let me go, like, figure it out. Let me go and get in the water.
Right.
So we were, spread out a little bit. And he'd yell questions to me. Should I have it, like, snagged in the tree behind me? No, but, so there was, it was fun in that realm to watch him discover and explore and, with no judgment, with no nothing. And I so wanted him to hook a fish. I was just like, oh, please let him catch a fish. He did not, but it was really cool and fun. And he really enjoyed that as well. So when you think about buddies and friendships and things, it's, that's a good way to go. The actual fishing is a good way. It was fun.
100%. It also, it provides all those other spaces that we talk about where you can have more extended conversation, whether it's a car ride up or just on the water. I mean, it gives you space to do a lot of things we've already talked about today and in general. So, and it's just one of the best hobbies out there. So,
right. It is. I would argue that it's the best hobby.
Always the best.
Indeed.
Well, that's our
5
mental health awareness month kickoff right there.
Right on.
So,
that's good, dude. That was a good post. I love that one.
Thank you. So I guess another topic that we have batted around before, I've really batted around before, is kind of a mathematical idea. So if you're not into math, like co-host is not into math. He's still working on his taxes from 2017. This is gonna be a hard one, but the general thought of this is that you have 365 days a year. You still with me?
I got you.
You got me. All right. So 365 days, except on a leap year, there's 366.
Let's don't talk about leap years.
But mathematically, by just nature of the way numbers works, 10% of your days are going to be the best days of the year. And 10% of the days are going to be the worst days of the year. So you have 36 days of the year that are just going to be the absolute best days of the year. No matter which way you cut it, just mathematically, that's the way it works. And on the other,
most of those days are on a river.
It's true. That's also
No,
that's also no, it's been scientifically proven. There's articles out there. So, and with that also, there's 36 or 10% of your days are just mathematically going to be the worst ones of the days. And then you have the other 80% of the days. And I didn't do the math, but we'll say it's roughly 300 days of the rest of the year that are just kind of the middle of the road days. And so I think the goal of this is to know that the worst days are temporary, that they're just a mathematical part of the makeup of the year. And On the other hand, so are some of the best days. There's only theoretically so many that can be the best day. But the goal is to take the other 80% and push them as far and as close to the top 10% as you can, and think about what makes up those best 10% of the day, and try and strive for that.
Yeah, I think that the best thing for a non-mathematical guy to take away from it is just that. What are the things that I can understand about my best days so that I can do more of those things that make that day really good? And I'm sure there's a bunch of different variables that play into having great days. So not like I'm going to try to have like, 90% of my just best days, they're always great. That's not possible. Mathematically, that's not possible. So what are some of those variables that I can start infusing into that 80% to push it towards having better days, right? Maybe they're not the best days, but they're better days. And hopefully tipping the scale in that direction. One of the things that I've started to do more regularly that is probably, if I think about regret, one of the biggest regrets I have is not journaling. And so I've started to do more of that so I can recognize exactly that. What are some of the things that I see that are happening on those days that, hey, I had a great day today, blah, 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 right? And so what were the things that went into that so I can start to improve more of my days to be better? I think that's great. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, especially for the analytical brains out there.
Definitely. And it helps push you through the bad days, cherish the good days, and strive to make more of the good days. Just know that everything's temporary, and mathematically things are going to balance out.
Right. Yep. It's a great way to help you through it. That's for sure. Temporary.
That's right.
Speaking of great days, we have one coming up.
We do.
Yes, we do. Mother's Day is right around the corner, Ed. Mother's Day. Shout out to all the moms, especially
Stacy's mom.
Yeah, she's got it going on.
Apparently.
That's for sure. God, love that song for coming out. It is the fulcrum for so many jokes.
We still don't know if Stacy's mom, one, either really slept with him or who was going after who. So we're gonna have to get back to that at some point.
Right. A lot of theories around that. But no, I'm gonna ask you this question, Ed. What's one of your favorite things about your mom?
Oh, favorite things about my mom. I
know there's probably a few, but just what's one thing?
My mom has shown me what it means to be driven and accomplished and just a great human in this world. She's lived a life, is living a life that is so full and exciting, and her story is not done, and she keeps making it more and more awesome. I'm always just kind of like blown away by what she's pulled off and what she continues to pull off. And I mean, I don't think I could have told you hey, when I was a kid, like my mom's headed to go see the Dalai Lama apparently in a couple of days. I'm like, how in the world did this even come about to be a thing in your life? And so I'm always just amazed by the story she's able to create and the journey she's gone on. And she's made an intentional effort to do that and be successful, not only in just life, but in other ways too. And I think it's just something awesome to aspire to be.
Nice. It's good. Yes.
What about you?
I think one of my favorite things about my mom is her idealism. She is an idealist in the truest sense. And her belief in positivity and her belief in support, finding value in the people around you it's infectious, and it's taught me and guided me in so many ways. But she truly believes in the people around her, and that idealist belief in others it's given me heart, and it's given me confidence to strive and get through tough things in my life. When I went through rehab and got sober and those kinds of things, like major things in my life, I think her showing me, and her mentorship and her modeling of truly believing in others, even sometimes when they let you down, she continues that steadfast belief in others around her. And it's incredible. And so, yeah, that's a real gift. Thank you for that. Appreciate you for that. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, and to our lovely wives who've given birth and raised our wonderful children. They deserve a shout out too.
Yeah. I say it all the time. She's truly the better half. Yeah, amazing. So I keep waiting for the day I'm going to come home and find all my shit on the front lawn because she's fed up with me, but hasn't happened yet. So
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, wonderful.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah. So this is your reminder. You're getting down to the wire on ordering something digitally to get to the house in time, and if not, you need to stop at 7-Eleven on the way home and pick up at least some flowers.
Good luck with that.
Good luck. Well, otherwise, you'll find your stuff on the lawn like Reid's will be here soon.
That's right. Good one, dude.
Well, this is a good convo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you, man, and we'll talk again here soon.
Sounds good, brother. I love you.
Love you.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our website, guysfishingweekend.com, to check out the GFW merch, sign up for our newsletter, and learn how to get involved with the community. We appreciate you spending even a little bit of your week with us and are glad to have you along on the journey. Stay legendary and happy fishing.